Hello, dear attendees. I'm very excited and happy to introduce Mr. Abdelfatah Mouttaqui, who will present blockchain for you. Mr. Abdelfatah, over to you.
Thank you very much, Linda. And I'm so excited that there is a workshop like this that I could deliver. And thank you for the Arab EMTech startups and conference. Sorry, I lost the page. Can you still see it?
Yes, but I think we lost your voice for a few seconds, and now we don't see the presentation.
Okay, let me share it again. Just a moment. Here we go. All right. Can you all see?
Yes, all good.
Excellent. Just starting, as a start, this is mainly for people that want to get into blockchain, and even though they are developing the technical side of the blockchain, it's important that they understand as users themselves how to get involved within the blockchain revolution in general as users, not as service providers or as customers or as suppliers, but mostly what is blockchain for me? How would blockchain benefit me as a person within the business, within the public sector, and within the government sector, and so forth. Now, starting with the definition, I mean, a definition is most of the attendees know what blockchain does and how things are happening, as the news released different reports and standards within the technology. Now, I would like to approach the blockchain for a person and the use. Now, the definition of the blockchain, in my opinion, is blockchain is a technology that can allow individuals and companies to make instantaneous transactions on a network without any middleman if they are decentralized. And also, transactions are made on a blockchain are completely secured. And we understand the security part of the blockchain because it's not easy to hack the block, or not easy to get, unless you are part of the network. And then even though the smart contract or the mechanism of the network won't allow you to create scams or break, the blocks in general. And by functions, the blockchain technology does keep the records of what's happening all the time. Therefore, any changes happen, the new block gets created, and that's how the blockchain keeps the information secured within the blockchain technology. Now, looking at the first title, which is how can blockchain benefit you as a person? Looking, on what's the functionality of blockchain versus the internet that we normally use or normally accustomed with, the blockchain basically gives you value by you giving value. Basically, you cannot assume that, okay, you just by entering the blockchain, you will be able to create value unless you have added value to a protocol or to a use case. Therefore, why we say protocols and use cases, because those are the functionality of blockchain. Without a protocol, we cannot create a use case, and without a use case, we cannot create value. Therefore, value lies in the blockchain or use case or protocol that you choose as a person to be involved with, and add value to them for them to add value to you in different ways. Now, the first thing that you're going to encounter is that you will start learning new skills as technology grows, because this is as we stand now, there aren't really more proof of concept. It's only proof proving the concept as we go. If you see, Bitcoin has done a great job by showing how solid the protocol can be and how many use cases being created from that particular protocol. Therefore, the developers had to understand how the protocol works, how they're developing on that protocol, because it's an open source, and mainly open source give you the ability to explore the codes and understand how the code works. And also from the other side, which is you become part of a community that teach each other, and also you will be valued or being incentivized by what value you add into that protocol or use case. As I said, engaging with communities and understanding regulations is more important for a user than for the use case developers. Why so? Because engaging with the community of a certain industry or a certain use case like Ethereum or like Ripple or any other, or Patientry, because I am part of the Patientry Association. It's a medical healthcare protocol that has many benefits, and that's important for a person to learn, and also to get exposed to those changes and those regulations as it goes. Therefore, as a person, I have got engaged with the Patientry Association from 2 years ago now, and I got the chance to engage with the regulators, with ministries, with individuals that want to get involved in healthcare on a blockchain level. Therefore, also that takes you to exploring use cases. Therefore, you by me saying exploring use cases is that you either get involved in one, or you can create your own or come up with an idea of a use case of a protocol. Because if you don't understand the difference, why we look at a protocol that will assist us to create a use case, those are always connected, and you cannot ignore those terms. The real thing is becoming an ambassador of a use case of protocol is important, because as you get your meetings with them, you get to know the capacity of the protocol, and also you understand, what kind of use cases may be able to be produced from this protocol. And as a news, Patientry Association, I am an ambassador for them for now 2 years, as I said, and the African ambassador, and we have done a lot of work within Africa. We've done work in South Africa, where we got involved with the National Healthcare Fund, the new one, and advising them how they can actually empower their users, by holding the information, and they pay them for that information as is required by third parties, because now the information is your value, your data is your contribution to research, your contribution to new curriculums that may come in. For example, the health universities are looking to do surveys. Therefore, all this, when you are part of that network, you get paid, or you get incentivized for your contribution to that protocol. Just for a change, I would like to know if there is any questions before I move to the next slide. No questions. Okay, let me move to the next slide. the next slide is also important as the first one, which is talking about how to use how to use and empower yourself and your business with blockchain technology. Now, the first step, as we understand the framework of blockchain, is to have a clear understanding of the functional business area that you as a person either has a skill in it or you would like to learn. Therefore, and a clear understanding of the functional business. Therefore, you have to know what do you want to learn, and that will give you a solid foot into the blockchain, because the blockchain is quite vast also in terms of its function, and every industry requires a different approach, and every skill set every skill set that you may have outside of blockchain, you may be able to engage and utilize it within the blockchain technology. Determine the goals and contents. As I said, you have to understand and answering why blockchain. And what the question is, you have to say why blockchain, and creating a blockchain value proposition. It's important, even though it's not a business, it's for you to understand, why do I want to get into this protocol, and what value I want to get out of this protocol, or what value I can or get from the use cases. Therefore, you look at the use case and you study it and you say, okay, I may want to get involved in it in an aspect of developing the protocol, or in upgrading the protocol, or creating use cases that may be solid for you and for the users. Therefore, it's understanding how blockchain can help you. It's important, but you need to have goals, and you have to have some context into your approach. Expected impacts. Now, understanding the impact of that use case or protocol is important, because then you know how to plan your next step, or how to get more people involved within that network. You have to understand that what impact are we trying to do? Like, what impact Bitcoin tried to do, or Ethereum, or any other protocols that exist now? What are their impacts? And once you understand what was the reason of their creation, then you also have an understanding of what will be your impact if you have to come up with an idea or protocol. Evaluating and scoring the concept. You have to evaluate, and evaluating, we're saying you have to size your idea. You have to understand the regulation and the regulatory impact of the idea and the protocol, and also the use case. I will always say protocols and use cases, because they come together. Therefore, you have to have even if it's just a user, you're not basically part of the protocol or part of the use case, but you want to understand like, what is this protocol, what is this use case that I may be interested as an entry level for me to enter into blockchain technology. Blockchain ideation. Now, blockchain ideation is something that's, I've been in some of the blockchain hackathons, and people coming with ideas, coming with different approach to blockchain. But the first question to them always, do you see your idea fits for automation? I mean, if there is no need for automation, you won't have to apply blockchain. As a lot of experts says, blockchain, it doesn't really solve all the problems, but it can help progress the operation of a business, and also can progress your own operation as a human, as a user, where you will understand, okay, my idea is first to get involved with an identity management kind of a use case where I have a profile, immutable profile that I can utilize, maybe linked to another protocol like the UAE protocol, where you are able to use that information to interact with other protocols and use cases. Therefore, the idea of blockchain, you need to explore it, in a vast way, where it's not just a service or a product, but also as a system for yourself, to progress in the fourth industrial revolutions to come. Therefore, understanding the other technologies, because they're also going to be a support for blockchain, or the blockchain will be their support in terms of data and in terms of rules and regulations in the years to come. The next point is optimum information flow, and that optimum information flow is where you actually have to create and desire that flow in the chain, because without a clear ecosystem, from regulators to we'll say academia, to developers, to investors, you have to understand that flow within the protocol or the use case for you to engage with a strength and a strong foot within the blockchain technology. Creation of blockchain use cases. As I mentioned before, the protocols and use cases go together, because you cannot have a use case without a protocol, because the protocol, as we know, has a protocol layer that's basically it's on the protocol layer. As we know, the blockchain is on 3 layers. The first layer is protocol layer. The second layer will be the network layer, and then you have the application layer. And on the protocol layer, you have to understand the capacity of the protocol and start exploring use cases by either making it itself or just talking about it and exploring the possibilities of that use case. Just get involved, get your hands dirty, and connect with communities for you to explore the potential of this technology. The next step is the stakeholder support system. There are some protocols that have a strong stakeholder support system. Some, they have to create it. It's like having to create a new protocol and then create that community and that flow where they have the designers, they have the marketing ready, they have the developers ready, they have all the elements that will support that use case or protocol and strengthen the adoption of it. And that's on the user level also. It's not just developers that get involved within the blockchain. It's more we have lawyers also that's part of our ecosystem. We have accountants that are part of our ecosystem. We have politicians that's interested to understand, and healthcare, workers. It's not just for IT. As some people will understand, it's not like information technology, not like the internet of information, but this is the internet of value, where whatever value you can bring to the protocol or to the use cases, that will add value to you. And that's basically the approach of blockchain. Vision casting, it's important that you have a vision, as a person, either as a contributor to the protocol or the use case, or as your personal vision as a user. What do you see yourself? How do you see yourself contributing to certain protocols or use cases, and how do you see it benefiting your personal life and your family life in the years to come? Because I mean, as a parent, maybe you want to get involved with an identity management use case, and then get your family on it, and then teach them, and then they will teach you, and therefore there will be a start somewhere where the whole family or the whole community gets involved on a identity level, and then from there will be interaction with health, there will be interaction with transport, there will be interaction with cryptocurrencies, which is some are backed, some are not backed with the real assets. But those are the things that you should explore, depends on your lifestyle, because that will add value to you as a users. And focusing on a user, it's more important than focusing on a solution, because I mean, if you educate the community around you, you will have a success, definitely, because they understand the benefits, and they understand what could go wrong if there were a mistake within the protocol or the use case. At the end, we want deployment, evaluation, and you have to iterate. It's always that way we deploy our vision, and then we get back to it and reevaluate or evaluate it, and then iterate where you have to do some changes as you go, depends on your approach to blockchain. I'm going to stop here. If there's any question, Linda, please let me know.
Yes. If there is any question, please, you can write it under Q&A, or also you can raise your hand and speak directly with Mr. Abdelfatah. There's a question here: which framework should use for BI for blockchain development?
Which framework in terms of the language? Which framework should use for BI blockchain development? That's we're calling it business intelligence, correct?
No, I think it's blockchain, but because it came into 2 lines.
Which framework would you use for blockchain development? Myself, I'm using the Oxford University framework. And it's covers all aspects of the blockchain from inception until the adoption in terms of its strategy, because the strategy is important. It's more important than the developing itself, more important than the design. And because if you don't have a framework where you are considering all the aspects that may highlight a risk for you in the future, then you won't be having a success. Therefore, the success comes from the understanding the need of the blockchain. If there is any need, that's your first step. And then after that, exploring the regulations, if there is, non-clear regulation. And then I will talk about the regulations and smart contracts in the next step, where it gives you an idea of the framework that I'm applying when engaging with a protocol or use case. Did I answer your question?
There is another question, from Bashir: which organization are working toward blockchain regulation in UAE and RSA? I guess.
Well, I will talk from myself. I'm engaged with the Patientry Association, as I said, and we have done a lot of work with the Health Regulatory Authority in Dubai, and that's we assist them in terms of understanding, what are the changes may happen within the regulations, and what are the things that the system already taking care of it. Therefore, there is no need for such rules or thing, because it's built within the protocol, and that's basically defeats the purpose if you have to waste your time, talking about that, if the system already taking care of that particular regulation. Therefore, in Saudi, we haven't approached the authorities yet, but that's probably gonna just flow from the UAE, because most of the UAE companies are operational within Saudi soil.
There is another question from Dr. Samar. What is the benefit of blockchain for me as a person in my daily life?
Well, blockchain, as we know, is something that's immutable, something that's secured. Beside the hacking that we hearing all around the world at the moment, where different data is being stolen or tapped to, or money disappearing. Therefore, as a person, this will create a clarity for you, as knowing that your identity is not exploited, it's not being used by a third party without your concession, and that will give you a stability, and also will protect you from identity theft, and also an understanding of the technology as you get used to interacting within those platforms, and especially when you choose which identity platform you want to engage with, and what are the regulations and how they process, and how would it add value to me, because you cannot engage into a blockchain use case if it doesn't add value to you as a person, and protect you from potential misuse of your information. Because remember, the Facebook, the Instagram, all the social media platforms at the moment, which is centralized, we don't know what they use our information with. Well, maybe we do. It's where they sell it to the big corporations to have a targeted kind of marketing approach, where they understand you more than you understand yourself, because they know more about you than you know about yourself, because they have access to your interactions on the browser, they have access to your interaction on Facebook, they record everything, and really AI does give them your profile, and then they will approach you with any product or any service, and you will buy it because they know you're looking for it. Therefore, those are the things that we need to be aware of it, where you control your identity. And I spoke about Islamic identity yesterday, and that's more important for me, because once we understand that, okay, we have certain requirements within our Islamic life, our engagement within the blockchain, then it's all the rules apply within the network that you join as an identity. Therefore, the identity is important for you, because it can create value for you, or it can create bit of hiccups, on the net, as other persons, being exposed to, a lot of people being exposed to hacking and exploitation within the internet. Therefore, we want to move from internet of information to internet of value by engaging and being a user. It's not just being a developer. I develop, and you ask somebody, are you part of an identity? Are you part of a use case or protocol that you're aware for? You said no, because it's your responsibility as a user to understand how the protocol works and how the use cases are working for you to add value and receive value at the same time. Is there any more questions before I move to regulations and smart contracts?
There is a question here. You mentioned yesterday that, hold on. Yes. You mentioned yesterday that every time I read it, it goes down. Cryptocurrency is haram. How is it that possible when you need Ethereum, for example, to pay for gas and validating certifications on a public blockchain?
Well, Haitham, it's a very interesting question, because I was hoping that somebody gonna ask me this question. Yes, Ethereum did not exist from hot air. Ethereum is a community, and that community have decided, okay, they wanna mine cryptocurrency, or they want to tokenize that cryptocurrency, and that's why it's acceptable as a mean of gas for validation and for certification and even for mining. Therefore, you as a community, or us as a community, and I'm saying the Islamic, they shouldn't just take on the system that's been given to them. I can use it and understand it, but we have certain criteria that we want to manage our lifestyle. And when I say our lifestyle, is not a lavish one, is more like a principles, because we have principles. We have laws that we may not get engaged because of religion's purposes, and we cannot ignore it. Therefore, currency coming out of nothing, it's supposedly it's not accepted, because it doesn't it creates an imbalance within the society, because whoever has access to that, it can just create and create and create and create. But what about the other side of the community, the people that don't really create, and they have assets? They have lands, they have commodity, they have certain aspect of real assets that can be tokenized and transacted within the network of a specific. Therefore, Ethereum may not accept a asset-backed cryptocurrency, but we have to create it because it's our need. It's something that we need. We need something tangible. We need something intrinsic in our life for us to create that community, that balanced community, and not empower the 1% over the 90%. And I hope I answered your question.
A question from Javid. What about dollar-backed
stable coins? Oh, tokens. Stable coins, stable tokens are basically different subject. But what about the dollars-backed stable tokens, as the Javid asked? The backed, as we know also, it's every person understand how the currency works in this age. It's important that we understand the technology, but we cannot repeat the same mistakes. We cannot repeat the same mistake within our financial system, because it's debts, it's printing, it's bailout, it's every 10 years. If you look at it, it happens because there is no balance within the ecosystem. The financial system does not allow for a liquidity within poor areas or within. Therefore, the currency itself, it's only serves certain class, and not necessarily people that have products, not necessarily that people have value assets attached to them. For example, I see here in South Africa, because I live here for the last 15 years, there are people with hectares and hectares of land empty. But
Mr. Abdelfatah, I think we lost your voice. I think he's having a technical issue. I apologize for this technical issue. Let's wait for a few minutes. I think he's trying to reconnect. I apologize again, but we still have like 20 minutes for this workshop. So hope he will get the connection.
Hello, I'm back now.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm back. Thank you very much for your patience. I think that the connection dropped.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go back to our presentation. And the last of it is regulations and smart contracts. You know, how do you approach regulations and smart contract as a user? And also, a user and also as a developer or a business person. Just a second. Now, is there any questions before I move on to the regulations and smart contract slide?
No more questions.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Now, understanding regulations and smart contract, because they go together, depends on the use case or the protocol that we're approaching. Just always go back to giving an example, Bitcoin and other use cases. They haven't seen the need of approaching regulators in their inception, but now they're regretting it because they may be facing, penalties and fines in the near future, and that will, risk their business in general, because they haven't approached that subject, because the blockchain at that time wasn't really something regulated or standardized. But now government like the UAE or the the EU Commission, also the federal or the American federal government has come up with, and the Indian governments, they came up with standards for blockchain and also standards for AI. And any company that already exists may have to go back and refix or fix the regulations and their smart contracts in general. To analyze the regulatory challenges and legal uncertainty surrounding blockchain technology, you have to explore the risks and gray areas associated with decentralized apps and smart contracts. One of the most striking challenges with regards to the blockchain technology pertain to legal issues, such as regulations, compliance, and accountability. In this resource, you will delve further into the topic of regulations in the blockchain ecosystem and learn about the blockchain regulation framework, which is a tool that you can use to assess the regulatory environment of any blockchain project. Therefore, when we approach a project, as an inception idea or protocol, we want to explore what are the existing regulations with regards to that industry, and how can we approach the regulators as part of your ecosystem, and then open that discussion with them to be able to either advise them, and they will advise you there's certain things that can be changed to suit your approach, and then some you can't change, that you have to implement within your framework. The two categories of regulations or regulatory approaches are very important to note. Okay. Now, there are 5 principles that we believe should be in place for a strong regulatory framework. Now, if you don't know what this means, I will explain to you, and also after this, I will share another screen that shows the framework or the table of those principles, just to understand more what I mean by those principles. Now, the first principle is to focus on outcome rather on a compliance. What are the outcome of your protocol? How would you use your protocol or use case in terms of the outcome of what you want to achieve, not necessarily the compliance, because the compliance may change also. If you approach them with a correct manner and be able to explain to them that this part of the compliance may not apply because the technology already taken care of it. The next one is instill trust in the system. You want to have transparency. You have to have transparency within the protocol and the use case for people to get involved and engage and learn from the experience. You know, some experiences are good and some experiences are bad, because that when you exposed yourself to the technology and to the ecosystem, different ecosystem, you'll find yourself that you have to give all the knowledge, nothing to hide, because that's the nature of blockchain. There's nothing to hide, and you can't hide it even if you want to hide. The promote, you have to promote the interest of all stakeholders. Now, within, saying that there is an important aspect of, you will hear ecosystem, because it's not like the information, the Internet of Information. This is basically, you have to be a participant within that ecosystem and be able to protect the interest of the regulators. You have, protect the interest of the academia, and also they protect your interest. Therefore, there will be a community that taking responsibilities and being able to identify the downfalls or the changes that need to be done, and then has to be done, and within doing it, you have to have interest of all the stakeholders. Now, balance competition, that I will show you on the next slide, or the next table that I'm going to show you, and then it has to promote innovation. Now, the slide that I'm going to share with you now, it will explain what I mean by that. Just a second, sorry. Is there any questions while I'm looking for that slide? Are there any questions?
Yes, there is a question from Bashir.
Yeah.
How is UAE government is working related to general data protection regulation for its people, as Europe is working for its people?
Well, Europe has gotten the GDPR, as everybody knows about it, to protect the data of the European residents, and mainly the European residents. But UAE government is still to understand the concept of protecting the users' data. At the moment, they haven't reached that level yet, because they're not exposed to so much of misconception, but also understand that the blockchain technology it has that element within its function to protect your interest as a user. Therefore, once you get engaged within the the parameters of the backbone protocol of the UAE government, then you will understand that mechanism is already there, where nobody could exploit your information without your consensus, because that's where the consensus work within the blockchain technology. And it's important to understand that, yes, that there will be a hiccup in the first few years now of adoption, because I'm a UAE. I've just gone out of piloting, and now they are implementing one use case at a time. But still, that will come as the data get generated. Then they will see value coming, and they will see how the users themselves are generating those datas, and you may not be exposed as a user, because the functionality, as I said, of a blockchain doesn't allow your information to leak without your consensus. I hope I answered that correctly. Okay, what I'm gonna show you now, and I'm struggling because it has the application. me a moment, sorry. Right, entire screen. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me just carry on with that until I get. Oh yes, there we go. Got it. Can you see it? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Oh, great. Now, going back to that, the 5 principles that we believe should be in place for a strong regulator. This is for the regulators and people that involve or engage with the regulators. It's important as a protocol and it's important as a use case to really engage with regulators of the specific industry. Now, we're talking about identity. Now, you know the regulators of identity in your country or the region that you want to function in. You understand the regulators of customs, how customs are working. You know how the banking system works. Now, all those are the principles of how to engage with them and explain to them how the blockchain would add value rather than disrupt them. But it will disrupt them if they don't do it strategically, implement the blockchain step by step until full adoption, full implementation is happening. Otherwise, if you think that you can implement the blockchain one time in your operation, you will get confused, and you won't be able to achieve the outcomes that you're looking for. Therefore, when we talk about focus on the outcomes, now the outcomes is a desired outcome that are main object of the regulation and are used as a test of a given circumstances, assessing the likelihood that a given behavior is aligned with a particular outcome. Now, some legal minds are going to understand this because, and some you may have a question with regards to those descriptions and principles that we're talking about. Now, protecting all stakeholders, it's the interests of all relevant parties are considered. We're talking about the users, we're talking about the developers, we're talking about academia, we're talking about people that's in there for the fun. And there are other exchanges, they researchers, and all aspects. You have to, when you think about the protocol, when you think about the use case itself, you have to understand there is not just you that will utilize this protocol or use case, because you may add value to others by showing them, okay, if we change this, it's gonna be, this is the outcome that we gonna be looking at. Okay, to foster trust, the regulation or the regulations and the actions around enforcing or applying them should promote trust in the system, as well as transparency and enabling a more stable market. Now, it's completely the opposite of Internet of Information. This is something that you have to understand. It's not in and out gains. This is a long-term approach to systems that may exist in the next 100 to 200 years, 500 years, whatever, if Allah allows that. Therefore, we want to create a system that will benefit anyone that's engaged, can be in any level, can be on a protocol level or network level or user level, application level, and also for the users to be able to easy operate, easy trust, easy, transact within that ecosystem or that network that you're going to be creating for them as a value to the society or as a value for that particular group. Now, balanced competition is an important aspect of the principles of regulatory, because competition has always been the one thing that the existing laws are not really doing good at, because there are some groups and some regions as more competitive advantage than the others, and therefore the ecosystem will diminish that bias kind of an approach, and we want the regulations should support multiple competitive parties and concepts of the fairness. It has to be fair. It's not, you can't just create scams, and think that you're gonna last within the network, because all those IPOs that came up for a short term, they have disappeared already, and some of them are to disappear in the future. Basically, by the beginning of 2021, we'll see more clarity within the blockchain and standards and the regulations of blockchain, and guidance in terms of Europe, in terms of Africa, in terms of America, and every region. You need to understand how they're going to take this technology and how they're going to utilize it and regulate it for us to move forward. Therefore, regulation should support multiple competitive parties and concepts of fairness, rather than favoring one group or class competitors over the other. Counterexample, New York State's PT license is an example of regulations that favors established, well-funded competitors over the new entrants. Therefore, those are the things that you should be talking about the regulators for. Therefore, they shouldn't favor the big boys over the startups, because we are in a startup conference. Therefore, you have to voice your point, because you need to understand the regulations that have been passed and the standards, or you can help them and be the champion and the hero to help them understand this and create a fair competition sphere. Now, promoting innovation, and that's just something that goes without a say. I mean, the blockchain, it will progress and still to be growing in terms of its function. We don't understand the full picture as yet, but as the years come, we are growing. This is the time you learn as much as you can. This is the time you expose yourself as many as ecosystems and as groups you can, like you're doing now. It's important to speak to the experts, and don't be shy. I mean, LinkedIn is full of experts. You just needed people to approach them, and they're happy to share. And that's the beauty of blockchain and blockchain people, that they only people that want to share. That's part of it, because it's a sharing technology. It's not an individual or a group that control it, and we can create that environment together. And that's basically the approach of blockchain technology in general. Now, promoting innovation, new ideas should be permitted. Room to run. I mean, that's the word that they use, provided that other elements of the regulatory framework are not adversely affected. Therefore, as long as we follow a regulatory framework and the regulations pertaining that use case or that protocol, then we are good to innovate and explore, other ways of contributing to blockchain, or adding or enhancing our functionality within the protocol or within the use case. I see there is a question before I move to the smart contract part. Can I read the question? Yeah, or you would like to read it for me?
Yeah, go ahead. But we have, I think, 2 minutes to go. And
2 minutes. Okay. Okay, then I will respond to that later. After, wait, going back. Sorry. Okay, now I would like to just speak about the smart contract in general. Now, smart contract, as we know, is a contract that's partially or fully self-executing as a piece of software, which is a digital revolution that should change the way people interact with one another. The most importantly, will change the way the people come to an agreement. Okay, whatever two parties want to enter into an agreement, no lawyer, no legal contact or piece of paper stipulates terms or conditions required. And this process is very time-saving and in many cases, very cost-effective. Now, we should leverage the power of computers and software to create self-executing and partly executing contract for us, and that process should be partially or fully automated, and this is the promise that smart contracts hope to fill. Now, there are three basic principles of smart contracts. It has to be observable, it has to be enforceable, and it has to be viable. Basically, variety of the different scenarios within our protocol or use cases. Please, any question? I'll have to stop here due to the time. And please, I'm open for questions even after this, because I'm going also to another presentation shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Abdelfatah. It was really a very informative and exciting presentation. Thank you.
Shall I answer this question quickly?
Yes, sure.
Okay, continue with GDPR questions. Later, the implementation of data protection regulation has of sensitive data being exploited. What's your opinion? Okay, later the implementation of the data protection regulation higher the chances or our instances. All right. Well, the regulation it comes from the regulatories in terms of the GDPR. The European Union has found to create value for them, and protect the users from any kind of harassing and non-paying for their data, because they exploit the data. Now, yes, I mean, the regulators should look at protecting the users, but again, the users need to understand also they need to protect themselves, because in every kind of engagement on a blockchain or out of blockchain, there are terms and conditions, there are specific things that you should look for to protect yourself before trying to pass the blame for that system or for. Therefore, personally, just for example, as Facebook, I have blocked so many things that may expose my information or my details, and I said no to a lot of things, and that's including, having access to my mic and including having access to my camera. Therefore, the control is still in your hand. Even though the regulatory is there, it's not really going to protect you if it's not in the interest of the regulatory himself.
Thank you.
Well,
yes.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me this session. And as I said, I'm more than happy to receive the questions either directly or indirectly through this platform. And the floor is yours. Thank you so much. I'm really honored.
Yes, I would like also to remind attendees to complete the feedback conference form. Thank you. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.